Welcome to the X's and Argos film session for Game 9, Week 11 of the 2022 CFL regular season. My name is Ben Grant. Last week's Argos game against Calgary, it wasn't necessarily one for the ages, but we saw some outstanding defensive plays. Calgary played a very aggressive style of defense. They sent a lot of pressure. They were rewarded from this with 5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, one of which was a gorgeous punch out that we'll take a closer look at shortly. Toronto, meanwhile, kept everything in front of them and closed with speed. It was actually the hardest hitting game I've seen from an Argos defense in a long time. Their defensive backs, meanwhile, played outstanding. They were great in coverage. They drove Bo Levi Mitchell from the game, and that says something. The DBs forced a fumble, and they also tallied 3 interceptions, giving the offense chance after chance to win the game. All right, let's dive into this one. The Stamps are empty, and that means that they've got no backs in the backfield. So they've got quads to the right, twins are left. The Argos are in cover 3 cut to this side, which we went over a few weeks ago. If you don't remember that session, you can go back and take a look at that video where we went over some of these terms. So cover 3 cut to this side here. So remember, the corners got the flats, the halfbacks got deep third. So our inside guy here is going to have an out, and this is designed to pin the flats defender. What that means is like to keep him close to the line of scrimmage. And then the outside guy is going to have a deeper out. And this is designed to, well, actually draw in the halfback in this case. Normally it would be to kind of split that flats coverage between 2 guys. But here they're looking to draw the halfback in. And we'll go into why in just a moment. So Peters has the flats. He's going to kind of play both receivers. He'll stick a little closer to the deeper guy. That's what the Argos typically do. They'll leave that underneath guy a little bit more open. And then Carnell, who's playing halfback, he's the one they're really testing here. He's going to trust that Peters is going to do his job, and he'll wait to see what develops over top. And it's a good thing he does. So let's go back to the beginning of the play here. This is Bagleton. He's got a very fat post. It's going to kind of flatten into an out when Mitchell starts to scramble. So Bo is hoping that Carnell bites on the deep out, leaving Bagleton coming in late over the top. And Carnell starts to creep in a little bit, but ultimately he stays at home. And here's what I absolutely love about this play. You've got Bo Levi Mitchell throwing to Reggie Bagleton, and he's being covered by a first-time starter in the CFL. The ball's overthrown, but Carnell, the first-time starter, he has a beat on it right out of Mitchell's hand. But most young defensive backs in this scenario would just play the receiver here. Play the man, not the ball. That's what you're always taught from a young age. And it must have been so tempting for him, especially against this pairing, because you can't help but think, well, what if you're wrong? He sees that ball going long, but what if he's wrong? What if it's not overthrown and now you're giving up a huge play? Well, Carnell trusts his evaluation. He leaves Bagleton open so that he can play the ball. Bagleton can't get to it. Carnell is sitting in the perfect spot to pick it off. That is a gorgeous, gorgeous interception. This is one of the nicest forced fumbles I've seen all year. It might be the nicest all year. This is field half Brad Muhammad who gets the best of AJ Ouellette here. Though, honestly, it was done so perfectly, it's really hard to blame Ouellette. Muhammad's playing up, so they've got a variation of cover 3 hold called to this side. So he's gonna take the flats. Ouellette catches this sort of pseudo outside screen. He's going to end up turning up inside Muhammad as Ambles tries to kind of wash him out. But Muhammad stays with the play. And once the ball carrier can no longer see him, he's going to go in for the strip. This is what players are taught as part of their tackle. We've seen Shane Ray do that in earlier film sessions. Remember him coming around the blind side. It's the same thing here, except that instead of a chop, which you see from Shane Ray going after a quarterback, you're going to get a punch from Muhammad. And it is a perfectly executed, perfectly timed punch. It's going to take a Calgary bounce right towards Ali Buka, who's going to scoop it up and complete the turnover process. It's a perfect punch. This is teach tape on how to punch out a ball. He doesn't even try to make the tackle because he knows he's got a perfect shot at the ball right here. And talking to Ouellette after the game, I asked about how to prevent something like this. And he said he has to take better care of the ball. And I guess that's true. If he keeps it high and tight, this doesn't get punched out probably, but that's just not a realistic way to run on the outside. And this move was delivered as well as I've ever seen. So Ouellet is always going to be tough on himself because that's just who Ouellet is. But this is just one of those times you kind of have to tip your hat to the defense. This is a great defender making a great play. All right, on the first play of the game, McFadden got beat by Bain on an outside go route. DBs have to have a short memory. You've probably heard that before. And this is an example of why. If McFadden just thinks about that play the whole game, his head's not in it, he's not able to make a fabulous play like he does here. So he had a great game, in fact. After that opening play, he really settled down, played excellent football, and that's having a short memory. So here he's trying to pull one over on a veteran QB. This is cover 3 hold again. And he's actually got deep third responsibility on this play. It doesn't look like that because he's trying to disguise the coverage right now. So he's like a yard off the line of scrimmage. It's sort of a press look, pre-snap. Bo sees him, but I think Bo gets what he's doing. I think Bo processes immediately that McFadden's got deep third, and he thinks he's going to catch him with his pants down here. Is that an expression I can still say? I feel like that's one that I should probably find an alternative for. Anyway, Bo knows the speed that Bain brings, and he thinks McFadden's basically just messing with the wrong guy. McFadden has overplayed his hand. He's got it out of there too late because you don't usually throw a go route into cover 3, but with McFadden backing out so late, Bo thinks he isn't going to be able to recover in time to defend it. And it's true. McFadden is there late, but he just turns into a receiver once the ball's in flight. He essentially runs a beautiful corner route as the receiver, and he makes a brilliant catch, secures the ball, manages to get his feet in, and then secures it as he goes to ground. This is an amazing defensive play. I love the aggressiveness. I'm not sure Coach Bell and Coach Fields aren't going to tell him to get out of there a little earlier, but what a great play from a young corner. So this one isn't so much about the play itself, but rather the run back from Buka. He makes the interception. This is just, well, actually, before I even get to that, let's just take a look at Banks here. There's something he does that I love. So this is a passing play, but Banks couldn't look less interested. And normally you'd say, well, that doesn't sound like a good thing. But you see this a lot from lazy receivers who constantly give away whether it's a run or a pass. But Banks is a veteran using this to his advantage. So it doesn't end up factoring in at all. I just thought it was a cool detail. He looks like this is going to be a run play. He doesn't look interested. Like I said, you see receivers do this all the time, but Banks is gaming. He knows that this is going to maybe catch a DB napping. Again, it doesn't factor in, but I just thought that was a pretty cool detail from Banks. And this is a bad throw from MBT, terrible throw. This is probably the result of not having anyone open all game long, be under pressure all day, but he just can't throw this. It's the smallest possible window. So he ends up just putting everything he has into it, and that often leads to him sailing it high, and it goes right to Buka. But let's get to what I want to see here, the run back. This is a masterclass basically on spatial recognition, on reading momentum. If I were Calgary, I would consider putting Buka back to return every punt and kickoff the rest of the season, even with all the great returners they've got on their roster. You can teach vision, I do believe that, but what you're seeing here from Buka wasn't taught. This is just beautiful, instinctive running as he pauses, cuts, weaves, gives ground, eventually waltzes into the end zone for the touchdown. It's the most beautiful interception return I've seen in a long time. I wish it wasn't happening against the Toronto Argonauts. It's a 62-yard return, but he runs over 100 yards, bringing this one all the way back. This is a cool variation of cover 1, and without getting into the specifics, basically Mechie is going to take the underneath hole instead of playing over top, and we've basically got men everywhere else. This is similar to how you might double one receiver and have zero elsewhere across the field. So this is Amos here lined up over Hakanavanu, and he doesn't play a ton of man. The Argos generally don't go into zero a lot. He's got a slot fade to defend here, and he said after the game that he was actually expecting vertical concepts targeting him, which shows you just how much mental work goes into preparing for a game like this. And it's pretty much what he got. This is such a tremendous athletic play from Amos. His coverage is on point, first of all, but look at this interception, the extension, the timing as well. You frequently see DBs go up for a ball like this early. This is perfect timing, though. And the reason they go early, they get excited, the ball's coming down, they're like, I can pick this, I can intercept this. They get too excited, they go up early, they mistime it. But this is perfect timing. He ends up being ruled down by contact because he actually lands on the receiver, which seems a little bit unfair, but that's the rule. And just think about what a play this is in the context of where we are in the game. Calgary up 3, time ticking down. Mayer just shouldn't throw this ball at all, but that's a young quarterback thing. That's, sort of live by the sword, die by the sword. Young quarterbacks make throws like this. And even so, though, to defend Mayer a little bit, it's a low percentage interception. And Deshaun Amos will take that bet every time as he picks off the young quarterback. I'm not a defensive guy, as you probably know. I really prefer the offensive side of football, but I appreciate beautiful football in any form, even when it comes from the defensive side of the ball. And we saw a lot of beautiful defensive football last Saturday at BMO Field. Thanks so much for watching this X's and Argos film session. I hope you were able to get something out of it. My name is Ben Grant. I'll see you next time.